A shocking church statistic about Christmas. Alright, I'll take that clickbait. Hi, my name is Scarlett, and I am an atheist and skeptic, and since this little-known holiday called Christmas is right around the corner, I thought I'd go bopping over to Living Waters to see what Ray Comfort is on about today. And he doesn't disappoint. Now, this is not quite as bonkers as some of the stuff I've looked at with Ray Comfort, but it's not bad. And listeners to my channel know that we don't listen to the original voice, so if you, like myself, don't care for these people's voices, I got you covered, babe. You do not have to listen to their dumb voices. You get to listen to my smooth, whatever accent this is that I do. Anyway, that's all the blibbity blab I have for you as a preamble. Let's get back to Ray. What are we supposed to be shocked at today? So Ray starts us off. Perhaps you've seen strange videos of fish jumping into a boat. It's interesting to watch, but after a while, I'm sure it would take the fun out of fishing. The intrigue of fishing is to throw out a baited line and wait for nibbling fish. I didn't know that fishing had intrigue. I've learned something new today, but I promise you this is the opening line, and I guess, Christians, fishers of men, the apostles were fishermen. I guess this makes sense, and you're wondering, where is Ray going with this? And I promise you, he's not going anywhere with this. This is just where it ends, right now. Let's get to the next paragraph. Ray writes, there is one day of the year that special fish jump into the boat. Christmas is when much of the world celebrates the birth of the Savior, and it's on this day that many feel an obligation to attend church. In a poll of 1,000 Americans, Lifeway Research found 6 out of 10 Americans typically attend church at Christmas. However, among those who don't attend church at that time, a majority, 57%, said they would likely go if someone they knew invited them. That's worth repeating. More than half said they would likely go if someone they knew invited them. That's not what my dumb and fearful imagination tells me. You're the one that said it. I didn't. That's not my editorializing. It says that most people would never darken the door of a church at Christmas. So don't be like me and listen to your fears. Ask that friend or that neighbor if he or she would like to come to a Christmas service. And so this is why I think that analogy isn't good. Presumably, this would be good and fun and interesting, or I don't know, whatever, to have these fish, that is, the parishioners, come on Christmas so that you could bring them into the flock. So I don't know what that opening paragraph was about. But anyway, here is Ray's point. There is this research company, or Lifeway Research, that's done a study, and it says that a lot of people do attend church, and among those who don't, they would if people would invite them. You might notice something missing from the paragraph, though, and that is any link to the original study. So I had to go out into Google land and find it, and it took me a minute because you had to get the right search terms. I found lots of studies about church attendance, and it took me a while to find this one. And so you might be wondering, who is Lifeway Research? And so they're this group that are enlightening today's churches with relevant research and insights. And they say about themselves, Lifeway Research assists and equips church leaders with insight and advice that will lead to greater levels of church health and effectiveness. Frequent surveys on today's church and culture demonstrate our knowledge of the dynamics of ministry today and our understanding of the realities of the culture we live in. One of the FAQs is why certain issues, and it says occasionally people ask why we choose to study certain topics. Generally speaking, it goes back to who we are, an evangelical research firm that specializes in surveys about faith and culture and matters that affect churches. We pay attention to the conversations taking place within culture and the evangelical church and seek to provide relevant research that will contribute to the conversation. So there you go. That is who they are, and that is what this study does. And I found the study. The name of the blog post is No Place Like Church for the Holidays, and it's hard to see among the other graphics that are on the page, but that's the title of it. Cute. I like it. But let's notice the date, December 14th, 2015. We're talking something that happened 8 years ago. So Ray Comfort is talking today about a poll that took place 8 years ago, pre-pandemic. So who knows what the circumstances are now, because I found another poll by Pew that said that a lot of people are doing church online still post-pandemic, but I don't know. It's just not recent, I guess, is my point. But it does say what Ray said. Among Americans, do you typically attend church at Christmas time? 61% yes, 38% no, and somehow 1% not sure. I don't know how you can be not sure if you attended church, but maybe you don't know if that counted as a Christmas mass. Maybe you went a different day besides Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Don't know. I don't know what that not sure means. And then in their poll, among Americans who do not attend church, they asked if someone you know invited you to attend church with them at Christmas time, how likely would you be to attend? 57% likely and 41% unlikely and 2% not sure. And yeah, I guess it might depend on who's asking. Like, who is this invite from, and do I like that person, and will there be cake after? Those are the kind of questions I would be asking myself. But anyway, those are the numbers. That's what this evangelical joint found out. Fine, good. Back to Ray, who says, we don't know the reason people go to church at Christmas. Perhaps their conscience is stirring them to do what they believe is the right thing. Most who do so probably think that their attendance is pleasing to God. Others perhaps think it will help to earn them a place in heaven. But we know better. Scripture tells us that it's not by works of righteousness that he saves us, but according to his mercy, Titus 3:5, and mercy cannot be earned. It's funny, there is a Bible link to that verse, and Titus? Seriously? That's the verse you're going to? All right, dude. What I find sort of fascinating about Ray Comfort is the unwillingness to actually go out and look at the answers for this. Now, if I were just to think up something, I remember from my childhood that a lot of Protestants that lived in my neighborhood, I was raised Catholic, we attended Mass every week, but a lot of the Protestants didn't think that weekly Mass was necessary, so they didn't go all the time. But they would go at these holidays, and usually there were things like choirs and events, and it was special, so they would go at the special times, like Christmas and Easter, and the rest of the time they didn't need to. They just thought, I don't know, praying at meals or something was all that they needed to do. So even in my own mind, I can imagine why people would only go at these holidays, and that is because the Protestant religion doesn't really require you to attend church service. It's just supposed to be this relationship with Jesus. Or so I thought. But what's even funnier is this blog post that Ray quotes. If he just read more than halfway down the page, he would see that they give reasons. The same poll he was just talking about asked Americans who do attend church at Christmas why. What is the primary reason? And they found that 77% said to honor Jesus, 9% observe tradition, 9% be with family and friends, 3% get in Christmas spirit, and 2% not sure. It's the same not sure. The people that just don't know what's going on. I don't know. Maybe they interviewed Carrot. But anyway, nobody said it. They thought that this would be pleasing to God or they were going to earn their place in heaven. And basically what you see here, I think, is a lot of maybe these people did this as children and this reminds them of childhood, so it's a nostalgia thing. Or maybe they're going because they're hanging around their family, so they're going to do that here. But anyway, if Ray had just read a little bit further in the page, he would have found out the reasons people say and would not have to rely on his dumb and fearful imagination. And I'm telling you, he shouldn't rely on his dumb and fearful imagination. He's proving the dumb imagination right here. But let's go back to Ray. With all the negatives of Christmas, the commercialism and emphasis on everything but the cross, sinners coming to a service is a wonderfully silver lining. I don't know why wonderfully. How about wonderful silver lining? But okay, and we're going to another analogy. We were fishing, but now it's, clouds, but fine. As Christians, we are fishers of men, and we should therefore know how to toss out a line to a friend, coworker, or neighbor. All right, so at least we're hooking back into that analogy. Get it? Hooking. We're hooking. Got it? Okay, pun over. Here are 3 things you could do to help your church effectively do this. All right, ready to count the 3 things? Let's go with number 1. Teach them what to say to invite their friends and neighbors to church. You may not think this is needed, but most of us find it a little nerve-wracking because of a fear of rejection to invite someone to a service. So a little help is much appreciated. I guess this is going to pastors because it's teach them what to say, not just invite people. I didn't think this was just going to pastors. I missed that connection. But anyway, give them examples, perhaps from the pulpit or in your bulletin, such as, I go to a great church. I'd love you to come for our Christmas service. Would you like to come? Or, do you ever wonder what happens after people die, where they go? My pastor will be talking about that issue for our Christmas service. Would you like to come? we can go out on a limb here and say that one of these invitations is a little bit better than the other. I can't imagine if somebody that I worked with, or I don't know, just some random person that I struck up a conversation with, started talking about, hey, do you ever wonder what happens after you die and where you'll go? Come to church with me and find out. I just find that the funniest thing ever. Of course, Ray Comfort goes around acting like nobody's ever heard of the Bible or don't know about Christianity. So, maybe he does think this is a good idea. I mean, he definitely uses that in his street evangelism shtick. So I guess this is for pastors to teach the parishioners how to invite people to a church service. I mean, I guess fine and everything, but in my way of thinking, if you don't know that these people already are interested, you don't invite them to a church service. I don't know, I find that creepy. Let's go to number 2. Remind them of the importance of greeting strangers who attend the service. These are dark days in which people are rethinking their relationship with God, and they will be touched by a warm welcome. Again, give some examples of what to say to greet people and to show them that you care. I remember the moment when someone turned around in the pew and showed interest in me. I was a new Christian, and it was my first time attending that church. I will never forget the warmth of their greeting. All right, fine, I guess. I mean, it's nice to be polite, hear people in your church. And once again, I guess this is for pastors. And so I guess people just need to be reminded to be social and to treat other people like humans, I guess. All right, I don't see much more to be sarcastic about here, so let's go on and see what's next. Hopefully your pastor will be faithfully challenging the lost. Okay, so now this isn't to pastors, this is to just random people. Okay, fine. And challenging the lost, I don't know if they're coming to your first service, if you should challenge them and tell them they're a sinner. I don't know, that's just me. Back to Ray. Christmas lends itself to a gospel presentation. Doesn't most church services? Okay. We start off in the manger and end up at the cross. Don't water down the bitter medicine of sin, righteousness, and judgment. I would think that Christmas would be the one time that you wouldn't emphasize sin and judgment. I mean, it's just like a little baby in a manger. It's very cute. I would emphasize that part. Some nice songs. Okay, that's just me designing a service. Okay, fine. Back to Ray. If we do that, we may make the message palatable, but we will strip it of its curative properties. There's always Easter. Get them back at Easter. Gosh, that's a bitter holiday. Anyway, okay, I'm getting on these sidetracks. Let's go back. Always remember that when we proclaim the gospel to a dying person, death could seize upon them within the hour. In the light of their eternal destiny, what they think of us doesn't matter. Why are we just so obsessed with the dying and the death and all of this? I mean, Christmas is supposed to be about the birth of Jesus, not the death. That's Easter. Just wait for Easter to do all of that. Or, some other random Sunday. I don't know. I don't know why Christmas is the time that you want to be talking about sin and death. I think that's ridiculous. And I don't know if this is actually number 3. We were promised 3 things, but this is talking to somebody who's not a pastor. The other 2 seem to be for pastors to help the flock. This is just let's hope that the pastor is doing this thing. It's not even telling the pastors to do that. It's your pastor, presuming that you're not the pastor. But hey, why be consistent? This is Ray Comfort. Why have a point and follow through? Why make an analogy that makes sense? It's who cares? Just need some words on paper, well, in this case, and the interwebs, and you got a blog post. Let's see what happens next. Our ministry exists to help church leaders equip their people to reach the lost. One way we do that is by taking advantage of national holidays. We have a $1 million tract designed for Christmas. We are not endorsing a belief in Santa Claus. Instead, we are bouncing off his soft stomach with the gospel. His soft stomach? Oh my gosh, Ray, seriously? In Acts 17, you will see the Apostle Paul bouncing off Greek poets when he addresses the Athenians. This is because his heart was to reach the lost. Now, I'm lost because I'm not sure what point we're making anymore. You'll notice, once again, that there are no links. I think that bolded part was meant to be a link to his little tract, but it isn't. Even Acts 17 is not linked to Bible. But now, so we went from fish jumping into your boat to bouncing off of stuff. And I don't like that image. I think that that's silly. I don't know anybody who's endorsing a belief in Santa Claus. I mean, that is something you do for children. It's just a fun thing to do at the holidays. Do it, don't do it, I don't care. But Ray is just taking all of the fun out of Christmas. We got to talk about death and sin and dying and, our righteousness, or I don't know, whatever. Let's go to the next paragraph. Scott McConnell, vice president of Nashville-based Lifeway Research, said regular churchgoers may assume the rest of America has already made up their mind not to attend church. In reality, many would welcome going to a Christmas service with someone they know. In the light of that thought, don't let this Christmas pass you by without a concerted effort to reach out to this sad, fearful, and dying world. Now, the quote itself is just lifted from that original study, and then Ray tacks on his own little thought. And I don't know if the people that aren't going to church at Christmas are actually sad and fearful in this sad, fearful, and dying world, but I would think that they would be if the ideal Ray Comfort service came to pass. And there was all this emphasis on death and dying and where your soul is going to go. Now, I don't doubt that there are people out there who are sad and fearful and couldn't use a little hope in their lives this year and any year, but I don't know that it's because they haven't heard about Christianity. There are, as we speak, a couple of wars going on that are kind of well known, and usually there's some war going on somewhere in the world, and there are people starving, and there are people that are being actually oppressed and actually suffering. And some of that suffering is going on in churches as people are abused in various ways. My thought is we should actually try to make this world a better world instead of be so obsessed with what's going to happen when we die and where our souls that I don't believe in go. How about donating presents for children who are in the hospital right now with some illness? How about volunteering for a soup kitchen? How about doing something spontaneous for people that would bring a smile to their face and bring a little bit more light into this world and not worry so much about where you're going after you die? As far as I'm concerned, this world is all we have. And if there is a God, I would hope that this would be a being that was more concerned with how we treated others while we are alive in this world instead of worry so much about what we would do with him in the next world. But then, I'm not Ray Comfort, and this is just the way my mind works. But what did you think? Did something strike you about Ray's little diatribe here? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're down there, you can like and subscribe and do all the YouTube stuff. Pour out your Christmas libations to the YouTube algorithm, and if you like what I do, you can buy me a coffee. That link is in the description below. And thank you to everybody who's bought me a coffee. I really appreciate it, and it is making my holiday season much happier and brighter. With that said, happy holidays, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.